What is going on, Vikings fans? It is I, your host, Supreme Overlord, aka Mr. AI Man 3000, aka Mr. Purple and Gold Bars. I have a special guest with us. We got QDogg joining us over from the Real to Sports podcast, one of my favorite Vikings fans, collaborators, members of the Real to Sports Roundtable podcast. So we're going to go over a bunch of things Minnesota Vikings today, talking about Brian Flores, talking about our honest thoughts in analysis of JJ McCarthy. We'll talk about Vikings Lions on Christmas Day, as well as the upcoming game against the Packers. And we'll round it off talking about some trending stuff, maybe some clickbait stuff with the Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson issue, and talk a little bit about the draft. So we got a bunch of topics we're going to talk to you about today. And so, yeah, QDogg, welcome the crew.
Oh, man, it's good to be back in here. Been a while since I've been back here at the Purple Gold Ball podcast. I welcome all you Viking fans so we can sit here and we can talk the talk that we like to talk, the Skull Viking, Bleed Purple Gang, Skull Viking. Yes, sir. So I'm glad to be here tonight.
Let's go. So before we get started, guys, we're going to hit that intro. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's start off with just a little bit of gloating, a little bit of fun. Let's talk Minnesota Vikings sweeping the Detroit Lions in the most hilarious fashion. Well, dominant defensively, but to beat them with 3 net passing yards with our backup quarterback that's still developing into a backup. Ooh, it was so juicy. QDogg, what are your impressions of that Christmas Day game?
Oh man, I tell you, I was most impressed defensively. I mean, we know the offensive with Mac Brosman, man, our offensive just sucked. Let's just keep it real. I mean, it's just the most terrible as I ever seen it since I've been a Viking fan. Just can't move the ball, period.
Even with Christian Ponder?
I think that's more terrible.
It was bad. There was games when Christian kind of popped off a little bit and gave us a little bit of hope.
A little bit, but man,
never like that.
Man, dude, I hope I got much love for you. I hope you can, and you can't expect that much from a third string quarterback, but he could have seen a little something. But I mean, sometimes he made it when it counted. He did the right things, but we know we can't. I don't think we can bring him back next year, but otherwise, because he's a developmental process. But shout out to the defense. I mean, the defense is that game, man. We had Jared Goff rattled, man. We was in passing lane, got interceptions, sacks, turnovers. We did. That was really a Viking defense that make when you make an offensive player start to shake their head. It was just nothing they can do. The defense just had their number that day, and it was good to see the boys on defense do their thing. Brian Flores had those boys together; they was ready to play in that whiteout game.
Yeah, it was so freaking awesome. So I had my landlord give me a call there. I got the somebody coming in to look at my furnace that isn't working that well. It's one of the newfangled furnaces, and it's not acting up, but. Yeah, man, what a defensive output there, Brian Flores. I've been saying that Brian Flores to me is on the same level as Spagnuolo from the Kansas City Chiefs. Not in that they run the same defense or anything like that, or even the quality level, but as in they're just unique. Nobody else does specifically what they do, right? Spags does comes up with some creative schemes. A lot of people will say, oh, if he didn't have the superstars, but who cares? He's got them, right? And he comes up with some creative tactics that really work. And then we got Brian Flores that also is completely unique. His schemes, we trade away all our run stoppers. And after we got healthy, after we got Blake Cashman and Van Ginkel out there, the scheme kind of made up for that lack of that skill set. So it's just incredible to see how he can create so much with the guys that he has, and he's just so freaking dominant, man. Like, one of the biggest criticisms that they have for Brian Flores is that, oh, he can only do it against rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks. But then what does that say about Jared Goff, a so-called veteran, and he can't seem to handle Brian Flores?
Yeah.
And there's other veteran quarterbacks. Yeah, they might figure it out and figure out ways to play around his system, but he's still going to be a thorn in their side. So I'm extremely happy that he's our defensive coordinator, and we'll talk about him a little bit and what our opinions are for him. But man, it is so nice to sweep the Lions after, what was it, 2.5 years where we haven't beat them,
Right.
So it's so good seeing our team on the come up. We're not even to the point where we can even like puff our chests out and be like, hey, our quarterback's here, where we're doing good, everything's starting to work out, and now we're beating you. We beat you when we're just struggling and developing, you know what I mean? So it was such a good freaking situation to see. Hey, what's going on, Danny? Thanks for joining us here, man. But yeah, it was it was so fun to see. Just watching Big Game Goff show up, and those Detroit Lions fans just losing it. That was so good.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The one thing that sucks about we've been waiting and holding off, man. I can't wait. Hopefully this Saturday, Wall Street makes an appearance, because we've been holding back.
Oh yeah.
Weeks.
I think he might be in this time. He can get over his sickness. He'll probably come in.
For sure. Moving on, because we can laugh about the Detroit Lions and how they're speed running back to a last place schedule, but what is your honest opinion, observations, or analysis of JJ McCarthy from going into the season to where he is now?
Oh man, I mean, I JJ McCarthy, to me, he's have had a rough go at it from the day he got drafted. Not being able to play that first year with the meniscus tear and be out the whole year, being to the playbook, then come back that first game against the Bears this year, and was able to have those first rough 3 quarters. He weathered the storm and showed some potential, made a comeback. And then after that, he got hurt in the Atlanta's game, twisted ankle, was out for weeks. Come back, win against the Detroit game, then goes out again. Now he's hurt again. And we win the Detroit game. Now he got a hairline fracture. The kid can't catch a break when it comes to injuries. And that's not good. It's not good at all. And so now he put the Vikings in a terrible situation, because if we can evaluate him for 17 straight games, but it's hard to evaluate when you're not on the field. And he hasn't had that many reps anyway. I like him as a person. I like his character. I like his willingness to win. But his availability, it's not good. The best ability is availability. That's with any player. And so we have to look at it going in that I like him, but we got to bring in an insurance policy.
I agree.
We can't look around it. We can't go through this again, because the man might be injury prone right in front of our very own eyes. And maybe he just can't take the beating of an NFL schedule. I just don't know, but it just doesn't look good for us health-wise for JJ McCarthy. A lot of things I can say into factor. Also, the run game hasn't been there like it's supposed to have been there. But if I want to just zoom in on him, we're talking about JJ McCarthy. Number one is his durability. I mean,
it's in question.
I can't go past that. I can't. I just can't. Because you have to stay healthy. You got to give us a good body of work. and you haven't given it to us. And so I don't think him playing tomorrow, Sunday, is going to make a difference where we judge him by last time he played 2 weeks ago, or if he played this Sunday. It really doesn't make a difference because he only played at least 7 games. He haven't really played a half of an NFL schedule, almost a half.
9
So
games.
therefore, that's why I say, we got to next year go in with an insurance policy. We have to bring another quarterback in. There's no looking around it. And so until then, we go through the same process with him again, get him in camp, see if he can now beat the veteran, and hopefully that he can stand upright, he can stay healthy. We invested in too much in him in the first round, so we can't just turn our backs on him, right about now, but we can't depend on him as far as his health. His mentals, he might want to be mentally, but physically, he's not, he's not carrying his weight. And so that's the only thing I can knack about him. We haven't seen a lot about him. I like his energy. I love his competitive. I know he's a winner. I know he wants to win. I think, down the line, we'll be talking differently from him. He's just a 22-year-old kid. One thing I can say, I wish that he wouldn't have never done, but, you can't, control someone's personal life. I really feel like if you really want to be a championship quarterback, and like all the greats that have been champions, I just think him being 22 years old, young, and coming into the league and want to be the leader of this franchise and our future quarterback, I just think he shouldn't have never got married so early. Because, a lot of these guys, you come in and you're a leader of his team, man. It's a lot for you to compare at that young age. You're taking on a lot. And, and when him having the birth for his child and being married, that's a lot you got to juggle at 22.
Mm-hmm.
And he might not say that, I can handle this and that. No, that's a lot. Versus someone who's been in the league for a while, at least 7 years. You know how the organization run. You know how the NFL run. So it ain't too much of a burden on you. Can go ahead on and, and have your family. And that's what most of them do. You don't see the Bo Nixon or the Drake May. You don't see them doing that. They concentrate on their craft. I wish he wouldn't have never done that. I wish he would, because just for him as developmental of a quarterback, but that alone didn't help him. It's just the injuries itself. So he's got to deal with a lot of things, and so I don't know if Kevin O'Connell's system that he's capable of running a Kevin O'Connell system, because he comes from a run heavy offense from Harbaugh at Michigan. So a lot of things that young man got to take on at 22 years of age, but and they either here or nil now. So that it's just something that he got to carry, that he got to deal with from next on. I think that this year he has a lot of in and out. He technically going to his third year, which is going to second year. We're going to his third year. He gonna have to show us something to keep moving forward with him. You either, if you don't beat out whoever we bring in, that really gonna look bad on you. Because we're bringing somebody in. We're bringing in a veteran somewhere. And he has to beat that man out. And if he don't beat that man out and he gets on that pine, that's further and further pushes him back. And then after that, it might not look good for him going into his fourth year. They might let him go.
Yeah, it's a quite a unique situation. Having missed his first year to injury, getting married, and then the outside factors of like the entire O-line being injured in his second start, right? So I feel like it's like maybe 60-40, 60% responsibility on JJ, because he's got to be the one to acknowledge that, hey, my O-line isn't going to be holding up for as long as possible. So he's got to scramble more, slide more, avoid more contact,
get the ball out,
and get the ball out quicker. And then 40% the O-line, because they need to be held accountable as well. So but you're right, availability is the best the best factor for any quarterback, right? You
Mhm.
know, the best ability is availability, and so it's interesting to see what's it going to be if hopefully next year we have an entire season where our O line is healthy. You know, it'd be nice to finally get through a season with a healthy O line. You know, Darisaw back to his all pro status. You know, and because he there was the last 2 or 3 games he was getting so many penalties, way out of character for him, right? So
Mhm.
um and early in the season when he, you know, because he is so young, it's hard for him to know to be aware of the game plan and what he's supposed to do as a quarterback, and still know that, holy crap, I have even less time because of the O line, right? So I get that there's some young guy problems there, on top of, you know, him getting married and having a kid. Also definitely adds another layer of just stress, just another layer of stuff, noise that he has to be aware of. So I totally agree with everything you said there. I think when we look at his intangibles, you know, his work ethic is like up there with the greats. You know, he's always the first one there. He's always the last one to leave. He's got the right mindset. He definitely is willing to do anything to win. Um, and he, like, I like to say that he's got the willingness to put the cape on and try to win a game, you know, just like some of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, right? And that's something that you that you can't teach. You either have it or you don't. And he has it, right? But he just hasn't learned how to um use it. You know, he's still so young. Like, he, just because you put on the cape and go out there and do it doesn't mean you actually are good at it yet, right? So
Mhm.
I think the intangibles are there. I think the amount of flashes that we've seen, when I go back and look at his highlights and the passes that he's made, and someone like, there are at least one pass a game when you go, that was a big time throw. You know, the Jalen Naylor back shoulder throw to finish the Lions, the against the Ravens, that over the top in the breadbasket pass to Jalen Naylor again on the sideline. It was beautiful. Against the Bears, when he threw that just howitzer right up the middle to JJ and thread the needle between two defenders. You know what I mean? These types of passes, you don't see except for by some of the greatest, some of the best or top tier, at least great and above quarterbacks, right? So it makes me feel like there's there's a lot there that, if nurtured properly, he can develop. Right now, hopefully next year, hopefully the off season, everything that happens, you know, allows him to be more aware. Like, remember, uh Lamar Jackson was injury prone those first couple of years too, because he just did not want to slide. He wanted to fight for extra yards. And this year, in the last couple of years, he's been very aware of it, and he's been willing
Mhm.
to run out of bounds instead of trying to get that extra yard or two. He's
Mhm.
sliding early. He's doing all the right things. So it is coachable, and it is something that he can adapt to his game, right? So hopefully, next year he plays the whole season. We don't see any injuries, but absolutely, we need to go ahead and pick up some insurance. Who that might be, I don't know.
Yes.
The way that it's going right now, man, who, like, Mac Jones is going to get paid somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, it might be Jacoby Brissett. You know,
Oh,
because, you know what
no.
I mean. Like, who's out there that's really, you know, Geno Smith might not have a job because they're probably going to draft the guy
Yes.
from Indiana. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's
But
slim pickings.
yeah, but I think the player that we need to get someone. I hate, but if Pittsburgh was to move on from him, I wouldn't mind taking Aaron Rodgers, because we should have took him in the beginning. I mean, look at his look. I mean, it's a veteran that has been proven, and he can still groom his. He can still learn behind Aaron Rodgers. You
Yep.
know, I don't think when you're talking about Mac Jones, who had to give up some draft
I
pick or
don't,
two, a
yeah,
third rounder, and draft and uh, Kyler Murray. That's a name that's been floating around now.
absolutely.
Yeah, Kyler Murray. He's been around for a little while, and that gives us a little experience right there as far as quarterbacking. And I would say Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers, if we can get him back if he can come out, don't go in retirement, get him back for one more year. I think he would love to throw to Jefferson. I think he would.
Oh, absolutely, because his experience, and maybe he doesn't have that, because we know that for a long time people were saying that Aaron Rodgers was the most gifted thrower of the football that we've
Right.
seen in modern football, right? So I know he doesn't have that kind of arm talent anymore, but he's so smart that when everything goes right for him, he's got the protection. He can still make some really nice throws. He may not be
Yeah.
able to move it down the field like he used to, but yeah, he can make the right plays. He can come up with a methodical 90-yard dinking and dunking when it counts, and then a strike up the middle for like 20 yards, and then all of a sudden you're in the red zone. And he's so good at dissecting those situations, right? And for JJ to see him in practice and to compete with him, and even if Aaron Rodgers, because I know Aaron Rodgers has never been the type of guy to want to mentor someone, right? Like he didn't really like it when Jordan Love got drafted behind him, right? JJ McCarthy is such a resilient learner. He's such a hard worker that I'm sure that he would be watching everything that he was doing and trying to internalize and be like, why is he doing that? Why does he step this way? Why did he look this way before he went this way? You know what I mean? And it's going to foster that growth mentally. And like you said, he's only 22. He'll be 23 next year. So even if he were to come in at spurts or maybe whatever the case, that would be a great situation. But as you were speaking, there, somebody that came into mind, you know, the Saints, I think, have found their quarterback in Tyler Shuck.
Right.
Do you think we could get them to move off of Spencer Rattler?
I like the Spencer Rattler in South Carolina. I thought he was poor. Like he reminded me of Case Keenum, and when he played at South Carolina, he was a fighter. He was a fighter.
Yep.
But he doesn't have that much more. He doesn't have that much experience more than JJ McCarthy. Maybe a couple years. Yeah, but
1 year I think he's got on him,
yeah,
right?
1 year.
But he hasn't taken many injury. I don't even think he's missed a game to injury, right?
Right,
And when
right.
you see, the thing is that with him, he's more of like a game manager, right? So there's a significant there's a ceiling with him. But when he's out there, he does a lot of the right things. You know what I mean? He doesn't throw a ton of turnovers.
Right.
He throws the ball away. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Kind of
he doesn't.
like a Teddy Bridgewater. He was a game
e-
manager.
Exactly, something like that, where he doesn't make the mistakes, but he's not going to also give you
Not gonna woo you up
massive.
and down the field. The ball ain't gonna run up and down the field
Exactly.
like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So to have him behind and being there, and then him, Max, and JJ there, all of them working together, that might be something that works out. That'd be a great insurance policy. And he's young and he's mobile, right? Because I'm a firm believer when you pick up a backup quarterback and you bring someone into, he's got to mirror your starter, because you don't want, whenever he does go out, if you got like a Statue of Liberty type of guy back there, all of a sudden the blocking has to be different, the offense has to be different, you know what I mean? And then it's harder on the offense to adjust, right? But if you slide in your backup and he's mobile and he does all the same things that your starter does, but just not at the same level, at least it doesn't change the playbook, it doesn't change the play calling. It's a little bit easier for us to kind of manage while he's not there, sort of thing, right? So yeah, just right as we were speaking, I thought about Spencer there, because I was saying, I've talked about Spencer. I was like, I like what he does. I know he's not going to wow you. He's not going to, but for a team that's like middle of the pack or below, that's going to be rebuilding and looking for some stability at the quarterback position, I think he would be a great pickup for a young team or an up and coming team, right? So, but I wouldn't be surprised if, the Jets made a move for him, or the Dolphins or the freaking Cardinals, somebody that's really struggling at the quarterback position right now that haven't drafted their rook,
Yeah.
maybe even Indianapolis, right? They might be able to work something out there because I don't think he's got a big contract, right? But yeah, it's an interesting situation to be in, but I still believe in JJ. I think he's still got the ceiling. He's got a really high ceiling. I think because of those intangibles, he can definitely be a franchise quarterback. What do you think?
I think he can be a franchise quarterback. You know what I'm saying? It just luck hasn't came his way in the beginning. He's just only 22 years old. So we got to look at that too. But I think what we're saying, we try to bring these quarterbacks. I just think he needs to sit a little more.
Just a little bit.
I just he need, but unless he can come in and camp and show
Or,
us
or compete. Yeah, he
he has to compete. He has to compete. No doubt about it. He has to compete. But if he can outdo all this veteran quarterback that we have come in, then all right, he shows.
Yeah.
All right. But and if he can't, then we just have to let him sit back and just learn again. You know,
absolutely.
I will hope that he can outdo the quarterback we can, because I don't want him to continue to sit.
Yeah.
Because I think that the more he sits, the more worse it'll get for him, probably. If you understand what I'm saying, because I mean, I think we might have threw him in the foul too early. I think that came to backfire. We should have let him. What pushed us most is that his first year should have been his sit out year, but the injury got him. And so then you come Sam Darnold, he shows up, but we didn't want to give him that bag he wanted, because that's why we couldn't went out and got the players that we got in free agency, and we gave Sam Darnold that bag. So it's like a double-edged sword. You could have had McCarthy sit on the bench and groomed him again with Sam Darnold, but how we would have been without some of these free agent players that we would have never got. And so it just kind of like, Kevin O'Connor trusted that this is my guy, I'm going to ride with him. So now you got to get back, and you got to work with him during the offseason. You got to get him right. He got to be a gym rat. And so I think that the game might have next year might slow down for him. It might have moved a little too fast for him. And I think that would help him, so it might slow down for him. And I think J.J. McCarthy is a hungry guy. And I think he's out to prove to everybody he's not the bust that everybody thinking. So I think he's doing, I think he's just going to – he loves standing around the facility. And I just think he's just going to work harder, man. I think he's a guy, he's not afraid of hard work, and I think that, he's going to do what it takes. And I think we'll see a different J.J. McCarthy next year.
Absolutely. I think he's definitely a type of guy that rises to the occasion instead of wilting, unlike Sam or Daniel Jones or Big Game Goff. And the one thing that I really love about JJ is that he can throw one of the ugliest freaking interceptions out there or make one of the ugliest plays. And the next play out there, it's as if it never happened.
Right.
And that's a skill that
you got short-term memory.
That is a valuable skill for a quarterback.
Yeah,
we see what happens. Like, to Sam Darnold last year. There were games where he started off weak, and they come an early interception. All of a sudden, he's just gun shy, and it's just. We've seen it with other quarterbacks, and so I'm excited that he has those intangibles. So
that's a good thing that you said about him, because I did notice that a lot of times, those times we threw the interception, he was a different person when he came back.
He came angrier. He wanted to make the same throw again to show that he can do it. But then he didn't do it in those games. But then in which game was it? The Dallas game. He threw that same pass that he threw to Jefferson like 3 or 4 times before that got intercepted, right? And this time he threw it again, but he hit Jordan Addison with it. And it was like, I knew I could make that. You know what I mean? He's got a little bit of that Brett Favre in him where Brett Favre looks at it, he's like, I can get that in there, and he would throw it, you know what I mean? And then he'd be like, oh, yeah, maybe not. But he just did not care. And I love that about JJ. So I'm hoping that these 9 games, and if we get lucky and he ends up getting cleared to play this weekend and we see something good happen, I think that that's going to give him all the motivation and the experience he needs for the game to slow down next year, and to give what other veteran quarterback or maybe even a young guy to come in to compete against him, just that edge, you know what I mean? Because I feel like if you know, it can't get, well, knock on wood, it can't be as bad for him next year as it is this year, has been this year, right? So hopefully we don't get all the injuries. Hopefully he doesn't get injured and it just comes out to look like what this year should have been. But
one thing I could say that he honestly gonna have to work on, we've seen it time and time again, he gonna have to learn how to get that ball over those defensive linemen when he throw those screen passes or whatever, because he have had a lot of tip balls.
He has.
Yeah. He has had a lot, and he got to learn how to get that ball over them guys.
Yeah, those first 3 or 4 games, it was a problem. But then in the Dallas game and in the Commanders game, he started like floating it over top of the edge rusher. That one screen pass to Aaron Jones where he cooked him for like 22 yards or something like that. Like, so he's got it in him. He just has to be more consistent with it. Like I'm excited for next year. So yeah, that's a good talk on JJ for sure. And I think that we're roughly on the same page where I think we have the same concerns and questions for him next year. And hopefully that's all put to bed in year 2. But outside of JJ McCarthy, what do you think about the team from game 1 to game 17 this year, or 16 so far, right? Because we had the 1 bye week, but up to right now, like, what do you feel like outside of the quarterback position, the offense, the defense, the special teams, anything that stands out for you, the coaching, anything? What's your thoughts from the season?
I think 2 people that we need to fire. Our offensive line coach,
Chris Cooper.
We got to get rid of him. I think we need to bring in Bill Canahan.
Ooh, yeah.
We need to bring him in. That man does massive offensive lineman. He really does. I think we need to bring him in to get rid of Chris, because the guys that we had have went on and they've been producing at other teams at high levels.
So bad.
And so I think, and then I also think Daniels, the special team coordinator, got to get rid of him too. I think number 4, he's going to be good.
Oh,
I think
Bryce.
Yeah, Brian. Yeah, he's going to be good. I think we should incorporate him some type of plays, some kind of maybe screen plays or handoffs or something, because the guy too talented, just to keep him on kickoff and punt returns. That's with the ball in his hand, he's pretty amazing. Yeah, but I don't know, that might be a dead giveaway. If we bring him in, people know that he might be getting the ball. So,
like Cordero Patterson, like we used to use him as a gadget guy, right?
Right,
but sometimes you can use that as a decoy, make it be like, oh, they got Price on the field. All of a sudden they step up a little bit, and there's JJ open or Addison open or Hawkinson.
They have to bring him in more, and that'll give him,
I agree.
Yeah, that give Price more, gives him a better feel of the offense, because they want to utilize my talent more.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that that's something they would have done with Rondé Moore if he wouldn't have got himself hurt. I hope they give him another shot, because he had 2 busted up knees and he can recover, and they can give him another shot with the speed that he has.
Yeah.
And so, and we know speed kills with the handoff that Jordan Allison had in that Detroit game. I mean, once he got around that corner, it was lights out. Nobody catching him. And so I think Price has that type of speed, and we need to incorporate his talent on the offense. Those 2 definitely need to be fired. I think we need the center, I think he's gone. Too many concussions. Need to go out there in free agents and he's gone. Give us another center. I think Brian O'Neill, I think he might have seen his better days. We need to bring in a right tackle.
Yeah, we need to draft the right tackle and then have him
come
in behind.
Or compete with him. compete with him, because I think he might got about 1 or 2 more years,
Yeah,
if anything. And
absolutely.
with Darisaw, I think he just came back too early. I think they did it right by putting him on the shelf a couple weeks ago. Let that
Yeah.
knee get right, and they used to keep him so he can come back and be the Darisaw that we know.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm pressed for us to get us a running back. I like Jeremiah Love.
Yep.
I don't know if he'll be ready for us, but there are the good running backs out there. Or they were talking about the running back for the Jets in free agent, but he might cost too much. He might the bag might be too heavy to get him.
For Brees Hall.
Brees
Yeah.
Hall, yeah. But we need a running back. Definitely need a running back because we need to take pressure off of JJ in case he might be or any quarterback back there. And gotta learn Kevin O'Connell. You cannot go in this next year, but not giving letting Jefferson going without these 100-yard games. No, that's just not gonna fly. Not only just for the production part, but for that man confidence itself. Because this man have another year like he did this year, he gonna be gone. He won't question trade, and I can't blame him. He's too much of a superstar. You keep Jordan Addison. You don't exercise that fee for your contract. You stretch that out. Jalen Naylor, he been balling.
Yeah.
I would keep him because it seemed like he's kind of fitting in the offense. So I would sign him. And then, that way you'd be set for your receiver, TJ Hawkinson. Get him out of here. Maybe get a tight end somewhere out there in the draft or promote number 84. Or
Oliver.
you got Basalamu, he was out. He didn't get a fair shake because of his back. And maybe he might do something next year.
Mm-hmm.
And but Hawkinson had to go. Defensive wide, all I want us to do is get some good corners. Harrison probably gonna be gone.
Yeah, he's probably retiring.
Yeah, he's probably gonna retire. They said that safety out of Ohio State, he's too good to pass. He's too good to pass up.
Yeah.
I doubt if he fall that deep, and we're not
Mm-hmm.
going to be using draft capital to move up to get certain players. We're going to just let them fall. But I think we'll have to operate in free agency, far as getting some corners. I want us to get some corners that have tight coverage. These corners that we have, they give too much cushion. And in your Brian Flores offense, if we can bring him back next year, we got to have corners that's going to cover. That's to be blanket type corners.
Absolutely.
But the team still, you got talented players, and we got to sign Redmond. We got to give him the bag. Got to sign Redmond. But we need to get somebody right beside him. Get a nasty nose tackle, a pop belly nose tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vince Wilfork type guy. Yeah. Oh man.
Like
I love nose tackles built like him, man.
Nasty in the middle, man. I tell you, it'd be nasty in the middle, man. And we said on the edge, I think Dallas Turner, I think after year 3, I think in year 4, he's gonna sail.
Oh yeah, he's about to pop, man.
He's about to pop. Yeah.
It took him a little while to get used to the Brian Flores team and having to learn so many different things that he needed to be able to do in order to be on the field for when those like audibles and whenever the defensive play caller makes some adjustments, he has to know what to do in those cases. But he knows now, and he's definitely he's definitely getting there. And when he pops, man, that's what I'm saying. Our corners.
You pairing with Grenard, he had a down year, surgery, but he's gonna be better next year. We know he's one of the top 5 in pressure ratings, defensive ends in the NFL. And Gink is Gink, man. We can't even. There's nothing we can say about it. We already know what Gink does, So
yeah,
man, he's the man, bro. Yeah, he's the man.
His intuition.
That dude's smart. That dude real smart.
Absolutely. He's methodical out there. He's always thinking. He's not just out there waiting for the play call or whatever. He's like dissecting everything that he sees. He's just playing instinctually and reactively, and it's so awesome to watch him play. It's awesome. I love having him. Hopefully this neck injury is far in the past and will continue to be in the past and whatnot. But yeah, as for those corners, I would very much love for us to get at least some corners that are, maybe slightly above middle of the pack,
Yeah.
because they just need to hold on long enough for the pass rush to hit,
Right.
because our pass rush is getting nasty.
Right.
And with Redmond out there, with Gink, with uh
Grenard,
Grenard, with
Turner,
Dallas Turner, like
and
these
Wilson.
guys,
We can sign Wilson back.
and Eric Wilson, yeah, like in Blake Cashman, like, and you know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
just need to give enough of some coverage so that when the quarterback goes through his progression, he's like, he's not there, he's not there. All of a sudden he gets overwhelmed with the pass rush. That's all they need to do. They don't got to be out there, being a lockdown. We don't need lockdown corners. We don't need specialists or nothing like that. We don't need like alphas. We just need guys that are above average that can hold on long enough for the quarterback to go through his progression and the pass rush to land and
Yeah.
make it so much harder. Just get down to the check down, and the linebackers and the safeties will do the rest. You know what I
Now I
mean?
think
So
we also need to take in consideration. We need to get someone to maybe back up Cashman in case he go out, because he seems to have an injury every year that's going to keep him out for a little while. So we gotta look at that position and take some serious thought about that. And bring in another linebacker too. We would work on our linebacker position, and then our safety. Theo Jackson, he didn't do too good. We really bring in another safety. Besides Harrison, we need to bring in a couple of safeties.
Yep.
Well, you got. We need to bring Metellus back to his original position. I think he kind of played out of position this year, so he wasn't as much productive.
yeah.
He more of a ball hawk type of safety.
Last year he was so much better when he was playing with Cam Bynum
Yeah.
and Harrison Smith, playing his more
Yeah.
natural way, that
Yeah.
three-headed safety kind of thing that we were doing. But yeah, like with everything that was going on, he had to kind of adjust and be a little bit more of a linebacker at times, and that kind of takes him out of his element, right? He's a phenomenal player as well, and so he'll come back next year strong, nice and healthy, which will be an awesome thing. Yeah, you hit it right on the money. Thoughts on Jonathan Allen and Hargrave?
Oh man, they got to go. Too old. It just doesn't make any sense that from a 17 game or 18 game a game schedule, we're not gonna get that much productivity out of these guys.
They were really expensive setup guys, because when they were there, Redmond ate, Dallas Turner ate, everybody was eating except for those two guys. But in the Detroit Lions games, they showed up big. So after the fact, I was thinking, did we build a roster just to be able to embarrass the Lions? Like, it felt a little weird how against them we were like at the highest level of our defensive output. Other teams that kind of are similar to them or have the same weaknesses to them, they would also do well in. But the rest of the time, they were just setup guys. And I'm like, I don't want to pay this kind of money for guys that are just elevating.
You talking about $80 million? No.
Yeah, no. We got to get rid. We got to move on. I think they were both on 1-year contracts, right? If I'm not mistaken, or maybe
I think
2
so.
years.
Yeah, I know. I know the guy for the Commanders was, but I don't know about Hargrave. Not Hargrave.
Oh no, Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan Allen.
Jonathan Allen. Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah.
Which he got the bulk. He got $50 million.
Yeah.
So. No, we're not bringing him back.
No. I hope not. I hope we kind of stick to our guns there, and
I hope we get if he ever got his stuff together, Wilkerson, the one that Brian Flores coached down in Miami, that didn't take his rehab
seriously
with the Raiders. Maybe he got himself together all season. He want to play football, and him and Brian Flores got that connection, so. Yep. Maybe we can bring him in on the cheat.
Absolutely. Brian Flores guys, they seem to, if he can bring them, they seem to play way better than anywhere else, right? So that might be a little secret weapon, or maybe something that we can look at. But yeah, I think you hit the the mark there for sure. I would definitely look at getting rid of Chris Cooper. For me, it was like, how, with knowing that everybody keeps on getting injured, how are you not prepared with multiple starting combinations? So if this guy goes down, we're going to shuffle, we're going to do this and prepare so that we're ready for that. How do you not have the backups and the third stringers ready to play? Because odds are they are. Like, it just felt like he was so unprepared for all these injuries, and it just irks me. Like, if I am like a layman that doesn't, never played football, has never coached, and is just watching with my eye and making these assessments, like, that's a problem, bro. You got to go. We got to find someone in. I like the Callahan option there to come in and bring him in. That would be amazing if we can land him, because he needs to find a spot to kind of rebuild some of that
offensive line.
Not the offensive line, but he needs to build up his resume again, right? Because he got fired from the Tennessee Titans, right? So he's kind of on the down low, right? So he needs to get on a team and kind of start doing some good stuff, so then he can maybe get an assistant coach or even maybe another coaching job down the line. And hey, if you can come down here or come up to Minnesota and do the next 2-3 years with us while you're doing that and making our offensive line work well, it's a good trade-off. You come fix us and help us, then you can kind of move on and regain your kind of head coaching status maybe, or something like that, right? And then there's our special teams coach, man. If we didn't give up that freaking kick return for massive yards against the Bears, we might be right now in a position where we're playing for a playoff spot. Just sneaking in by the freaking seat of our pants. If we went in there and beat Green Bay, we might actually have snuck in, right? So it hurts because there was a couple games where there was such bad punt and kick return coverage that allowed them to either take a lead or get back in the game. And that's just unacceptable. You know what I mean? So, bringing Price in to kind of do something similar to Cordero or Cordero Patterson or Percy Harvin from back in the day, right? That guy that you just get him in the open space, get him the ball, he'll do the rest, sort of thing. Oh, that's a really good idea. And your assessment of the rest of the team has been awesome. I totally agree. I'm excited to see what we can do, because we've been doing a decent job at developing receivers, right? Our receiving core, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best in the league. Jefferson and Addison, in my opinion, are the two best wide receivers in the league. And then Jalen Naylor, incredible, right? Ty Felton can come in here, maybe be that fourth string guy that can be just a guy that can, when he's out there, he can be clutch or something, bringing some of his skill set. So I'm very excited. For me, I feel like the way that the season went, I feel like I've been saying I think we did okay based on the circumstances. It could have been a hell of a lot worse, and we could have really crapped the bed, and we could be in the hunt for the number 1 draft pick right now if it wasn't for how well we were able to recover. And we almost recovered to the point where we could have been in the playoffs, right? Like, by as bad as it went, we win one or those 2 of those games that we almost completed that comeback, we might actually be in it right now. And even though we probably lose in the playoffs, but that experience is what we really needed as a team, right? So I think it was okay. It wasn't a great job, it wasn't a bad job, but I think it was okay based on the circumstances. So I'm pretty happy on the season.
I think the number one thing we need to do on offense, we have to bring in a running back that defense has to respect that run game. Aaron Jones is okay, don't get me wrong. But if we had a running back that can almost give you about 150 a game, 120 a game, over 100 yards a game, they have to respect that. And they will take off that coverage from Jefferson. They'll have to bring that safety down some more.
Yeah.
See, absolutely. And that's what that kept that blanket coverage on Jefferson all year long, because the running game is just not there like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not there like that. We need a dominant back. We have to have that.
Absolutely. And I thought that was going to happen this year when I saw all the O-line acquisitions that we had in the offseason. And then we stole Jordan Mason. I was like, bro, that guy falls down for 4 yards. Like, he gets some really good blocking. He might be like one of those guys that can easily give you 80, 90, 100 yards regularly. And then have Aaron Jones save a little bit of his tires on his tread on his tires, and coming in there on some nice strategic runs, and then in the passing game as well, he can be still very dangerous. But
Yeah.
yeah, we really need that. Hopefully, maybe the O line had a little bit of factor, but we need a guy that even when the O line is struggling, he don't care. He's still
Right.
gonna find his hole. He's still gonna bust out to the right, and he's still just gonna find that hole
Yeah.
or create that
Yeah.
space that he needs.
The
We
defense
need a
has
guy like
to
that.
respect him. Have to.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Now let's move to the elephant in the room, Brian Flores. Brian Flores, man. We talked about him a little bit already. I think he is a premier defensive coordinator. I think I put him up there as one of the best, if not the best. Let's be real, he's that good. But we really need to re-sign this guy. We really need him back because our defensive identity was the only thing that kept us in games this year. If we would have had Ed Donatel defense, we would have won 2 games this year. It would have been incredibly bad. What are your thoughts on Brian Flores, and what should we do going forward to try to get him?
With Brian Flores, man, I mean, his resume and speaks for itself. The man is just so productive. The man knows how to coach defense, and he's a leader of men. I keep saying that statement, and I'm gonna keep saying a leader of men. There's no looking around it that he's a leader of men. So that's been proven. There's no disputing. This man don't know what he does that he's doing, but the only thing that's hurting Brian Flores, he still has a pending lawsuit against the NFL, against at least 4 teams in the NFL. And the Jets is one, Denver's one. I don't know other 2 teams. So we know that, the Giants. So I know the Giants is not going to hire him. They're not going to hire nobody that's trying to take money from him at the same time. Then you're looking at what Tua said about him. Then
Fitzpatrick, yeah.
Fitzpatrick got behind Tua and said these things about Brian Flores.
Yeah.
And so these owners, he's going to be questioned about these things in the interview or whatever. And so I really think that I just don't think that he deserves a good coach, a coaching job again, because his body of work speaks for it. But the off the field and these things is hurting him as well. They can't overlook that.
Yeah.
These teams can't overlook it. And so you got all these other different candidates. They'd rather give them a shot than to give him a shot because they don't want that bomb exploding in front of their face the way he treat their quarterback. He's just a realistic coach.
He's old school.
He's old school. And if your quarterback trash, he trash, man. I mean, that's just really, but he calls it out more. We can't lose him. And so that what I'm saying is that either we work on signing him now, or I know it might sound crazy, but we can fire KOC, give him the head coaching job, and bring in the OC. I mean, he's been proven, man. I mean, but they're not gonna fire KOC.
Yeah,
but they're just got to give this man a blank check and tell him right in there what you want.
Mm-hmm.
They just got to do it to him like that, man. Because other teams are. I mean, I don't know how serious they are about bringing Brian Flores in, but they know they have to deal with these off the field distractions. With the lawsuit and everything. I don't know if teams want to take that on. That's the only thing I can say. Because if we went for all that tour and, Fitzpatrick talking and all that kind of stuff like that, that man be high right now.
Yeah.
First interview, that's it.
Absolutely.
But he just got too much of that going on. So I think the Vikings need to go ahead and bag him up and, give him a nice, good extension, give him allow him to have more say-so in the free agency and draft process when it comes to defensive player. Let him eat and get the kind of players he wants. Give him some freeway, but don't let that man leave the building, man. Don't do it. Don't do it, Kwesi. Kwesi and the Wilfs, do not do it.
It'll set us back years if we lose them.
It'll set us back.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it'll set us back.
Yeah, and I think it's this is what I said like 2 years ago when people, or like right after he after year one, after he took our defense that was projected to be like 28th overall, and he brought him up to 16, to like 16, 15, like middle, like that's a massive jump for anybody. That just shows how good he was able to do with the defense that Ed Donatel fielded.
Right.
The defense that looked garbage the year before. He was able to be like, we're going to teach you how to play my style of defense and we're going to get better. And to make that kind of jump, to me, I was like, I'm sold. I don't care. At this point, I was like, I don't care what anybody says. I don't care about this negative bull. Like, there's always two sides of the story. And guess what? Fast forward to now, I'm pretty sure that Tua looks like a liar now. And it's not the narrative can kind of switch, because like, Tua, you're just mad because he called you garbage and he didn't want you. You're benched right now, and you're not going to be a Dolphin next year. You don't get benched with 2 or 3 games left in the season, and then all of a sudden Quinn Ewers goes out there and has a really decent game. You think they're going to be like, man, let's give it back to Tua next year? No, they're going to be like, let's just roll with Quinn. Let's find some desperate team and let's trade Tua, get the most out of him while people think that he's still something good. And now who looks right? A few years removed, Fitzpatrick just looks like he was just trying to, cape for his fellow quarterback, because he's a quarterback, right? Next quarterback analyst. So he's always going to take the side of the quarterback over the coach, right? That's why we saw like the coaches that are analysts taking the side of Brian Flores, so it's just kind of how it goes. And I think that Brian Flores has been vindicated on some of that based on what has transpired since then. But when mutual freaking things come aligned, these owners are going to side with themselves. You're not going to take a chance, right? Even as good as Brian Flores has been. And I said, you know what? Maybe because of all this controversy, we might end up with having Brian Flores for twice as long as we should because of it, and because that we're gonna have to wait, before a team is gonna say screw all that and we're gonna hire him. You know what I mean? So hopefully the negative PR, the lawsuits kind of work to our Vikings favor, and as a result, we can.
I think they will. I think they will, because and he's suing the NFL, and they're moving on with it.
Yep.
They're moving on with the system, the court. So I'm moving on with this case, and because they wouldn't think that he had a good chance of winning, they would never move on, or whatever. A legitimate case, they would never move on. And so that being said, him coming against that shield, that he looked at it. He looked at it as a different way. We might not be able to stop you from lawsuit, but we can stop you from getting a head coaching job, because, it's kind of like the Colin Kaepernick thing. You're standing up for your own rights, but because you coming against the shield, they looking at it like, well, okay, then, well,
we'll make an example out of you.
We'll make an example. You won't be, and I think that hurts him. And I think he can go to college anytime and get a college job, but he don't want a college job.
No, yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't want a side grade. He wants to go up, right? So, and if he can stay with us and end up winning a Super Bowl, and it being the defense that leads us to a Super Bowl, I think at that point it's like some team is going to be like, screw it, I don't care, I'm going to hire him as a coach, And I think that might be our chance there. And if I'm not mistaken, the coaches' salaries don't count towards the cap, right? So, Wilfs, if you're listening, spend the bank, give that guy a frickin' blank check and say, whatever you want, you can have. If you want veto powers on your defensive draft prospects, if you want to be fully in control of the free agency for to look for Brian Flores guys because you have that eye, do it. Give him everything that he wants because we desperately need him for sure. Absolutely, Q. I absolutely agree. Now, let's move on to another couple topics. Some clickbait. Clickbait. I haven't made any videos in regard to this because to me, I think it's just absolutely ridiculous. But I think we should, at the very least, have a little talk about it, especially with you, because you are such a great football mind. Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson. These two guys have been linked to the Minnesota Vikings. One, because Joe Burrow has been so-called fed up, tired, not having fun with football. It sucks not being protected and whatnot. And so people are saying, hey, get him to the Vikings and this and that, So we'll start with him and then we'll talk about Lamar and why I don't think it's a good idea to move on from them. And we'll take your perspective. For Joe Burrow, I don't want him to show up, and if our O-line doesn't protect him or better than the one that he had there in 5 games, he goes, you know what, I'm done, I retire, and then we're screwed. You know what I mean? And we overpay for a guy, and I don't think that we're a quarterback away. I think we have to address our O-line. We have to get some more depth, some key contributors and glue guys all over, right? So if we were just a quarterback away, maybe I might consider Joe Burrow over Lamar because he is so gifted. But I just think it's clickbait. I think that it's illogical. We've spent the last 3 or 4 years now preparing to go through a rebuild or a competitive rebuild, a retool, whatever you want to call it, to be able to draft a rookie. We moved on from Sam. We moved on from Daniel. You know what I mean? If we would have been ready to kind of abandon that, we would have done it then. We're not going to do it now, right? So what do you think about Joe Burrow and all that nonsense?
I think it's just nonsense. I just think is that, you got to look at Cincinnati's not going to really be ready to let go of him without, you giving up the farm. Right now, you have to give up the farm. I'm talking about maybe a good offensive player and plus 2 first-round picks.
Absolutely.
So that's not the state of where our franchise is. We're not a quarterback away. We're not. And so for you to do that, and not to say Joe Burrow to me has been biting on the injury-prone label the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's a good quarterback, he wants to play football. He loves playing football, but he has a problem staying healthy. And so I'm not saying that he ain't a good quarterback, but for what we need, what we're trying to do, I think that'll put us back more. We already invested in a quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. It's just not, we can't keep recycling quarterbacks and thinking we're going to get somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It might take at least 2 years for Joe Burrow to get us where we need to go. It'd be better, but I just think that's just too much. It's too much over the top, too much you have to give up. I think the best scenario for Joe Burrow will be that he keeps complaining about wanting to be traded. He has to put that out there. And once you get that, then the organization cannot ignore it. Yeah. And then maybe sometime not after next season, but the season after that, they have to deal him. And with somebody like Matthew Stafford probably got 1 more year coming out of retirement, I can see him going out to the Rams.
Hey, that would be a good pairing, Joe Burrow and Sean McVay.
Yeah.
That would be unreal.
I can see him going out there. But I just think that we're not in that situation to be rushed to get a Joe Burrow. We're not a quarterback away. We're just not.
Gaming says trade JJ for 2 first-rounders. Thoughts? Absolutely not.
I mean, come on, Gaming. Come on, man. Do you think they would trade Justin Jefferson, the man that breaking all these records, Randy Moss records out, one of the greatest receivers? You think that'd be the dumbest trade since the Herschel? No, it'd be dumber than a Herschel Walker trade. Be
Yep.
dumb.
They made the mistake of
No,
trading Randy Moss after, like, and not letting him
no,
try to
no,
keep
man.
him. They're
No,
not they're not making that mistake
they're
again.
not going to do that. That man has to request one for them to do that.
And then they're going to franchise tag him for another year or two before
Yeah,
they finally give in,
right.
in hopes that we end up turning it around, and then he gets happy and goes, okay, that's fine. We'll get, but the one thing JJ needs to get better at throwing to a number one receiver. And
Yeah,
this is a point that I want to talk about. Okay, as awesome as Jefferson is, and as as deserving as he is to not have to participate in OTAs and stuff like that, in preseason and joint practice, all that stuff, bro, when you have a developing quarterback, a rookie quarterback, or a guy that's moving into year 2 now, okay, you need to be at OTAs. You need to be at everything. You need to be in those practices, because look at the connection that JJ had with Addison,
yeah,
right? And in training camp, in practice, all the highlights that came out from JJ were him throwing to Addison. And it's because Addison was there every single time building that connection with him. And it's different to throw to JJ than it is to throw to Addison.
yeah.
Addison is never really double covered because of JJ. So he's going to get better, more like kind of traditional passes. When you throw to a number one receiver like a Jamar Chase, Jordan Jefferson, a CD Lamb, you are going to have to expect to throw into double coverage.
Or
You know
tight
what I
cover,
mean?
tight
Or
space.
tight coverage. And the ball placement is different. So and he doesn't have that yet. He's like JJ's learning how to move in the pocket, feel the pressure, throw the ball away, go through his progressions properly. And it doesn't get to the point where he's like, oh, now I also have to put the ball in this specific spot for JJ as well. So like, it's just so much on the young kid for him to do that. So I'm sorry, Jettas, you need to be there all training camp,
Yeah,
all OTAs,
that was on
preseason.
just the little baby hamstring, but they couldn't risk him.
That's true. Yeah, he did
Yeah,
have that, but he needs to be there. He needs
yeah, he got to
to
be there. He got to be there.
in this preseason. I don't care. Every single one of our starters on offense needs to play more than one drive every game. They need to play like the first half every game, to kind of get JJ into the swing or keep that competitive battle between him and whoever our veteran quarterback that comes in to kind of help guide the quarterback room, because we can't come in soft, can't come in these first 3 games still working on things. We need to be on the same page from game 1,
Supreme. I'm telling you, that would have worked back in the day. You cannot risk these players playing in preseason like that.
It's true.
I mean,
It's true.
no, man, they're gonna get hurt.
But they might, but
they need to, so they won't get hurt.
These kids are so soft.
Yeah,
I know,
it hurts. I would like for them to play the whole preseason, play the first half every season. But then again, the league has been protecting the players so much that then you want to throw them in the first regular season, and then it's just like they're not really ready. They're not really ready, man. They're just.
Unk Gaming says Randy Moss was my favorite all time. I moved from Pakistan to Minnesota in 98. Ooh, what a beautiful year to make it to Minnesota. My first season watching the NFL was when the Vikings lost to Atlanta. Ooh. You were at that game in person. That was terrible. Subscribe, and thank you for joining us, man. I really appreciate you. Don't forget to join us on Saturdays where we do when we're on both me and QDogg here on the Real Sports Podcast. We do a roundtable discussion talking all things football, having some great discussion and bouncing back and forth with other panelists as well as our hosts. So I hope I'm very grateful for you joining, and hope to have you on Saturday so you can kind of be a part of that conversation, because we have some really smart fans and viewers that kind of jump in and give us some great insight. But man, it must be awesome to have been there in 98, man. Ooh, that would have been an awesome year. But absolutely, it just sucks that we are in such a soft era. They're not going to play them that much, but they need to at least one drive every game. You know what I mean? Like JJ played like one game for like one drive, and then he did like half a drive the next game, and then he sat like the third game or whatever, right? Like we just need them to be ready for week one, so it's not like an extended preseason game. It seems like September is becoming more and more like preseason than like it used to be. And I hate that because that's when we're seeing where a lot of teams are losing games just from not being prepared, from all the easy things, the false starts, all the stuff that they need to do, keep on top of themselves. They're just throwing games away. So like we can't afford for that in year two. We need to start off strong, start on the same page. But yeah, absolutely. But to go back, I don't want Joe Burrow. I don't think I agree with you. We're not in the position to back away. There's a reason we wanted to get on a rookie scale quarterback contract. It's so we could continue to build the team around him to keep getting more solid on defense, special teams, everywhere else, the depth, so that when things go wrong, we can still pick up the pieces and move forward and have a really good productive season, kind of like the 49ers are doing right now, right? Like, so, I agree with that. Now, Lamar Jackson is the most recent one that people have been linking to the Minnesota Vikings. And I'm a really big fan of Lamar Jackson, but to me, the Ravens are regular season merchants. They're phenomenal in the regular season. They catch teams off guard, and they're just very lights out. But that type of football doesn't work in the playoffs.
Right.
They year one or two, the Tennessee Titans, just sold out defensively, made Lamar Jackson throw, and they got eliminated in the first game. So, and it's just continues to happen year after year after year. They need to have a solid defense around them. It's just not something. I don't think it's a style of football that we can win with the supporting cast that we have. So I don't want to see Lamar right now. What do you think?
No, I never really been a fan of Lamar Jackson. I like to see him like he play. I think he's an incredible football player. But when it comes to the postseason, I just can't see his type of play, the way he plays. He really had the weapons set for Andrews, the tight end, who was a magnificent chain mover to get the ball up and down the field. He hasn't had a Lamar Chase or a Justin Jefferson type of receiver or go get it type of receiver. So I wouldn't entertain that. I just kind of feel like no, he's been 8-9 years into the league. I think he might have made to it. Have you ever made to an AFC championship one time at least?
Oh, no,
Never.
no. He gets I think the furthest he's gotten is divisional round.
See, he never made it to an AFC championship. No.
Another factor too is that there's a lot to be said or criticized about our play calling. And the reason that Lamar looks really good at times is because Todd Monken does a really good job of being creative with his play calling and avoiding his weaknesses and creating situations where he's throwing to a wide open Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely or Zay Flowers, because they sell it like they're going to run. And because they're worried about Lamar having to run, they bring another safety up or a spy, and all of a sudden Mark Andrews kind of sneaks in behind everybody, and they all go sell out to stop the run or the screen pass, and he just floats it over top to a wide open receiver. So I think in his entire career, I think I've only ever seen him throw the back shoulder like 5 times max. I don't see him throw into coverage. I don't see him lead his receivers when they're covered. It's only when they have massive separation, when they're broken plays, when they're wide open, then he gets these massive plays. And I just don't want to play like that, because there's going to be teams that are going to sell out and force him to throw the ball, and he just cannot do that. And in the playoffs, it's a recipe for failure, man. So I don't want to see it for sure. Then Unk said, We'll throw in another quarterback here to talk about. He said, "Do you think Daniel Jones could have fit in?" What do you think about Daniel Jones and what would have happened going forward if we
Well,
had
first of
stayed?
all, I think Daniel Jones felt like he wasn't going to be able to beat out J.J. McCarthy. I didn't even think he believed in himself, so he went somewhere where he could beat out Richardson and win the starting job. So he betted on himself, and he
Mhm.
won. Unfortunately, he had to have that ending season tear in his leg.
Achilles, yeah.
But I think if he just stayed, and what happened to J.J. McCarthy, then yeah, he would have been good.
Yeah, actually, in based on what happened, and instead of having Carson Wentz doing all that,
Right,
having
right,
him out there,
yeah,
maybe he wouldn't have suffered that Achilles injury, and he would have been able to save the season for us for when JJ came back, and then we would have ended up in the wild card, right? So in that situation, yes, I think that would have been awesome, but to fit into this team going forward as the starter, I don't think that
no,
he
no,
would have fit in because I feel like he's on the same path as Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, to me, I don't think this year and I don't think next year are going to be the years where we're going to be like, oh, he's finally fixed, because he struggles in playoff games. He struggles with self imposed pressure. He had one of his worst games of the season against us, and it should have been a game where he had zero pressure. But it's that, oh, I need to prove the Vikings wrong. And all this self imposed pressure, he collapsed, right? So it's similar to Daniel Jones. In the
yeah,
playoffs, he struggles. He's got confidence issues. And he's just a year or two behind Sam Darnold. So I'm not saying that he can never get to the point where he gets enough confidence or becomes capable in the playoffs to be able to win something. You don't know. Same with Sam Darnold, but I just think that it would have been 2 or 3 years away. And I didn't want to have a humiliating loss this year with Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones in the playoffs, and then have another humiliating loss late in the season and in the postseason with either one of those guys next year, and then finally have a season where we almost did it, guys. See, Sam Darnold was the right. No, I don't want to waste 3 or 4 years just waiting for the quarterback to get that kind of confidence. You know what I mean? Hey, what's going on, Samuel? But so when it comes to if he would have been the option to start and be the quarterback going forward, I think that Daniel Jones wouldn't have fit in because of that. And I think that if he wouldn't have got that Achilles injury, I think he would have melted down at the end of the season and in the playoffs. And we would have been like, oh, yeah, he's not quite there yet. And we would have, all the Vikings fans would have been like, see, I told you. Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold aren't the answer there. So to answer your question there, Unc, anything you want to add about Daniel Jones?
uh, he had a rough go at the when he played with the New York Giants. I don't understand how he wanted to come to Minnesota to get right with KOC, and so he learned a lot there. And I think he was able to go there and be productive for the Indianapolis Colts. And so, unfortunately, he had that injury. And but I'm like you, if he wouldn't have had the injury, I think he would have showed the people who the real Daniel Jones was towards the playoff times.
Mm-hmm.
He'd have fell back and regressed to the Daniel Jones that we know. And yeah, I think he should have stayed there. I think he would have had a better shot because, to me, you got better weapons.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't understand why would you want to leave with Justin Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, maybe you felt like you really couldn't beat out. Maybe that kid might have shown. I think he's seen something in practice. He's seen something about McCarthy.
JJ that
Yeah,
made
he's
him
seen
realize.
something. Yeah, he's seen something about him. We're not in there. We're not at the prem watching these guys. He's seen something that he wanted out.
Mm-hmm.
That he knew that he wasn't going to be able to beat that young man out.
And if he wanted to get to the point where he was a high ticket quarterback, he should have stayed and taken a pay cut and stayed and learned in our quarterback room to develop, because he was on a podcast with Fits and Wits with Andrew Whitworth,
Yeah.
and he talked about how he's like, when I went to Minnesota, even though he's only there for a couple of weeks, he's like, I saw how the quarterback room, like an actual good quarterback room, operated, and he saw a new perspective with what KOC was doing and what Josh McCown was doing and what Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy were doing, and it made him go, holy crap, and it changed his mind. And he took that, it was just a small sample or small bit of exposure, and he took that to Indy and he won the job.
Right.
But had he stayed and backed up JJ all this season, I think he would have. And if he would have just came in for the 5, 6, 7 games that Carson Wentz played, or something similar to that, I think he would have been in a better position to actually get really paid this next offseason, and maybe would have avoided that Achilles injury, and it would have been probably a better situation. But he gambled on himself. He did start off really strong. Like, this is the power of, KOC's ability to help veteran quarterbacks kind of refocus and get on the right track, right? And then seeing what Josh McCown has done, I think a full year under them, he would have definitely changed his trajectory and become something different, maybe accelerated his reclamation project. But as a Minnesota Viking, for our future and our needs, I don't think we had the time to wait for Sam Darnold or Daniel Jones for 2 to 3 years, maybe even 4 years before they were ready to compete in the postseason. At that point, Blake Cashman would be gone. All our guys, really good guys, would be just aging out, and then we would have missed our window. Right. So it made zero sense to me to keep either one of them, and I don't think it fit. I hope we were able to give a good answer for you there, Unc. But yeah. Green Bay Packers. Let's finish off with talking about this upcoming weekend. What are your thoughts on this game coming up?
Well, I think they're going to be resting a lot of players. So there's nothing too much about it. It's a meaningless game for them. They're already in, and what's the use of risking your star players getting hurt
before the playoffs?
I don't. Yeah. And Jordan Love not's going to be out there, whether he was ready or not. He's not going to be out there. So there's not too much to think about it. It's just probably most of us is more really about us than it is them.
Yeah.
And so we could just get guys out there. Them guys going to be playing for
for next year.
Well, yeah, and mostly guys for Green Bay too. So they'll be playing. Yeah. So
putting some resume out there.
Yeah, we'll get to see Malik Willis again and see what he can do. He can replicate the performance he had last week. But, so it's, the last week was just straight up divisional games. And so that's how it's ending last week of football. And I just think that, we're not going nowhere. We're not going into the postseason. So, we're just trying to end on a high note, get over 500, and like you said in the beginning of the podcast, from what all we've been through, and to end up 9-8, you can't beat it.
You can't be upset with that.
I can't be upset with that. Really, I mean, I hate it for draft. Yeah, I hate it for that. But absolutely. players want to win. They want to go out on a good note. So that doesn't mean anything to them. And I'd rather go out on a good note, take something into next year than to take this ugly season the way it started out, that we was able to take it and smooth it out and made it better toward the last 4 or 5 games and make it look better than what it originally was. So I'm proud of that. And I think we can build on that. I really do. And we win tomorrow. And even when we win tomorrow, I still think that we can still build on the way we won those last 4 games and we didn't win the 5th one. I still think we can build on that. Like I say, consider
what it was.
What it was, how we were just going down and down and down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be a long, hard season for me. I can't wait till August come again. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna have my binoculars out for for my free agency, which starts in the first week of March, and then on down to the end of April and the draft time, and getting these guys in, and hopefully we can get some of our guys back healthy with the Darisaws and Grenard, and get some key players to help project us, and we can just put this season behind us. Like that's just something next year talking about, man. I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was just I don't remember. I gotta have that JJ McCarthy memory. Is like, what are you talking about? That never happened.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
That type of memory.
exactly. I think
That's
it's gonna be a fun game as for a few different reasons. One, I think it's really solid that everything that we learned last year from facing adversity, because there were so many games where a lot of the things that happened to us were things that we see happen in the playoffs. Teams coming out strong and punching us in the mouth, and we having to get back into it. We made mistakes. Adversity was faced, and it was like we gained a confidence. And that year to this year, that really showed that we were ready and we believed in ourselves. And I'm one of the things that I'm very happy is that that translated, and we didn't lose the locker room. I feel like the team is just as unified as it was going into the season. It just shows a maturity level. So I'm hoping for them to go out there and continue to have that pride and go show out and prove that we are a much better team than our record shows. And it'll be a good opportunity for if Max starts, or if they, it's still up in the air if JJ is going to start. But if Max starts, just giving him more time to play, because if he ends up being a backup or our third stringer, there's going to be a time when he might have to play again. And I'd rather him look bad this season than next year when we actually need him to win. So hopefully he's got a better game into him. And I want to see Ty Felton. It'd be nice to see Miles Price, if I'm not mistaken, Miles is his first name, to be thrown out there on offense. Maybe see what just see what our backups and our third stringers got. Maybe some of these practice squad guys that have been showing potential all season, be like, hey, bring them on up. Let's get them out there and let's just continue to grow. Right, this season is, I think, the development and the growth for the whole team is what is going to end up building us up for success for the next couple of years going forward. And now hopefully next year, knock on wood, we don't get as many injuries. We're not one of those teams that gets injury freaking plagued like this year, and we can put a solid campaign together. And hopefully we finish strong and we have a fun game, and maybe we'll get lucky in the Packers, because they have so many backups and third stringers in there. We can win it, and then we can make sure that the Lions are in last place.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Absolutely. Is there anything in regards to the draft that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I mean, I think they're projecting us to pick around 15. I wouldn't want us to jump up to get a certain player and to give up draft picks. I think we should stay put, get the best running back. If we don't get one in free agency, then maybe we can work on something like a good corner. We don't get a good running back. It depends on what we do in free agency.
Okay.
Depends on what the draft is. I think that we're going to fall out of the Jeremiah Love.
Be amazing if he fell to us, but yeah, you're right. Probably best to just hold on to our draft picks and take the best available.
And I think we depends on what we do in free agency, what we'll do in the draft. And just we need to hold on to our picks, man, and we can do some, just add to the pieces that we got. That's the biggest thing I can say. And I think our biggest thing is coaching. We got to get the right coaches in. I really don't want Kwesi doing a draft. I think that, and I always said it, we should fire him, because this draft, it's been horrendous. None of his 20 to 22 draft picks are here. That's 3 years ago. And so that says a lot. The man don't draft that well. He do good free agency, but it's not good when your front office can't draft that well. I don't know if it's him, maybe his staff. They need to fire some people in his staff or something.
The scouting department, something
Scouting
like that.
department, yeah,
But he's actually, I was looking into it because at first I was just thinking, oh, what he hit on Dallas Turner and he hit on Jordan Addison. But then I was on a live and people were calling it out. I was like, Will Reichert, he hit. Who else? Dallas Turner, of course.
I mean, that's just 2 or 3.
Jalen Naylor.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like 2 or 3 players. You're talking about a man been drafting for what, 3 years now? I mean, that's a prep of almost about 15, 16 picks. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You need at least hit on 12 of them.
He's got a little bit more than because I feel like I was thinking, it's like, man, he's only hit like on 1 or 2 or 3. He's actually hit like 7 or 8. So he's not
some free agency. Oh, well, we know. Then develop. Those players that you draft after the draft, he hit on that a little bit too. So.
Yeah. And some undrafted free agents.
Undrafted free agents. He been on that.
So
but the draft itself, not so much.
That's another reason why I don't want him to trade up, because I want him to there was a report that was put out this year saying that it didn't even matter if we lost all the games, that Kwesi and KOC were going nowhere, right? So we're stuck with him whether we like him or not. So like the song says, if you can't be with the one that you want, love the one that you're with, right?
Right.
And so I don't want to, don't do the thing where you end up going from 12 draft picks and then moving up and then only have drafting 6 guys because you ended up trading up and doing all these things. No, just draft everybody, use all your draft picks and use that experience or that use those to continue to get better at drafting, and hopefully the scouting department, maybe with Brian Flores' input, like, hey, we need to look for guys that are like this, and with more input from, the receivers coach or the whatever, they can be like formulating a better game plan and starting to take better guys. And as a result, he gets better at drafting, and because he's not going to be going anywhere for at least another 2 years. It sounds like from the report, Kwesi and KOC are basically, for like the next 2 years, they're basically solid. Unless they like lose out all of next year, then they might be on the hot seat. But if they do as good as they did this year or better, they're basically here for the long haul, right? So don't trade up, use all the picks and make the most out of them, be smart with it. Bring in QDogg and he'll make sure you get all these right freaking picks in there, right? Hey, what up, Noobster?
Yeah, I might be better off in there. I just don't have a tie. I need to put a tie on, then maybe I can.
There you go. But we've been going at it for an hour and 32 minutes, man. I feel like we could go on for another hour if we really wanted to here. But I think we can leave it there. I think we had a really good Vikings football talk tonight. I hope you guys in the chat and viewers that were lurking there, I hope you guys enjoyed what we had to say. Are there any final thoughts about this team, about anything that we didn't get around to mentioning, whether that's the quarterback, whether that's KOC, anything?
Well, I think we pretty much covered everything. I'm really basically about ready for this season to end. It's getting kind of redundant for me. I know it's a losing season. I know there's nothing at the end of the light of the tunnel. I just ready for this regular season to end so we can get the matching process of making this team better. Yes. I hope that, I don't know if next week that you'll have a season finale show for our season next week. I don't know if you do that or not. If you do, I would love to be on. My mind really, I'm past the game. I'm just thinking about the moves we need to be making, and we need to, and like I say, the first one we need to do is we got to show enough ink Brian Flores in. That's number one, first most priority. I'm really nervous about that move. And so once we do that, we'll start doing firing and all this other stuff, like just getting this team built for a good 2026 season.
Absolutely. You know what? I hadn't even thought I didn't. Well, this is my real first year. Last year, I was just kind of dabbling with the football content creator uh, scene. So I didn't really know that that was a thing. But you know what? Let's pencil it in. Next Tuesday, 8 p.m., season finale show where we'll talk everything. You come up with some topics or something like that that you want to talk about as well. I'll come up with some trending topics and we'll just talk everything Vikings, get everything out that we wanted to talk about this year, things that are just have come up after maybe this week's game, or that after we finish our live today, you go, oh wait, we should have talked about this, and we'll talk about it. We'll
Okay.
do another hour and a half again, and we'll just talk all things Vikings. We'll get as many we'll try to answer as many questions from the chat as possible as well. And yeah, we'll wrap up the year as good as possible, and then maybe we'll finish with like I've never done a mock draft. Maybe we'll do something like that, or I don't know. We'll come up with something. How does that sound?
Okay, sound good.
We'll celebrate the season. Maybe I'll buy a cigar or something like that. I'm not
Yeah.
a big cigar guy, but maybe it's not that kind of season yet. But,
No, not that kind of season, man.
but I'm just happy though that we didn't like fall apart after, you know what I mean, and end up with 3 wins and completely lose the locker room and have everything just be as the worst case scenario. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
the biggest thing I'm glad that we did, we was able to knock the Lions out the playoffs.
yeah.
I mean, that right there give me some kind of satisfaction over the way the season's been going. I mean, at least we took them with us. We put them on the couch with us.
Exactly. Amen, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me and QDogg here on the Purple and Gold podcast. We love every single one of you guys. Skol Vikings, and we will catch you guys next Tuesday, 8 p.m., talking everything in our season finale show. Take care, guys.
All right, y'all.